Sakshi Singh, a research scholar from BHU. Welcome you all on behalf of Indian Research Scholar Association. And this session is related with the findings of research papers, editors, and referees expectations. So, for this session, we have Professor Smita Jha, ma'am. And ma'am is a professor in Department of Humanities and Social Sciences in Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. And ma'am has expertise in linguistics, soft skills and communication, Indian writing in English, Commonwealth literature, and contemporary literary theories, feminism and feminist studies, culture studies, African, British, and American literature also. And ma'am, I'm honored to introduce with you, ma'am. And now it's time to invite our speaker. Welcome you, ma'am, in this platform.
Thank you very much, Sakshi. In spite of my hectic schedule, I accepted because no time at all, and another I have a meeting at 5 o'clock. So without delay, we should start the innovative writing a scholarly paper and publication, because research methodology is a very important aspect of any researcher or students who is going to join the academia. Well, I've been teaching research methodology for several years. Even I have improved myself at several levels, and I have seen that research is a very, very serious, systematic, methodological, or kind of, persuasion where you cannot work randomly. Now, before I move on to the topic in question, which I proposed, I just want to tell you that when we talk of research or research methodology, there are certain paradigms that we have to keep in mind. Now, what are those paradigms? The paradigms are epistemology, ontology, methodology, and one more I'm adding phenomenology. Because research cannot be pursued with vacant mind. And as I said, that epistemology, which is the base of the knowledge, when we have something in your mind, only then you can, go for substantial research. And writing research paper is nothing but, the kind of epistemological activity. Then ontology, because whether it is paper, whether it is dissertation, when you hypothesize something, you have to justify it. And I always say that the entire research is a kind of argument, justifiable argument that is based on ontology, and then methodology, which is the methodology that is defined that how to move with a particular strategy, design, and justification. Then comes phenomenology, which is very important. Why it is important? Because all said and done, your point of view is very important. What you have read, what is there in your mind, based on that, you have to, structure your research. Now, writing research paper is part of a structure because writing research paper is mandatory for all the researchers before the submission, at least in IIT. Earlier, it was, there were 3 papers to be submitted before pre-submission, but now it is only 2 papers. And in any, topmost institution, educational institution, you need to publish your paper in Q1, Q2 journal. Well, in humanities, sometimes we accept even Q3 also. And also this is the fact that Q1, Q2, and Q3 is switching over, sometimes Q1, then Q2. Now, how to write innovative paper, how to construct a structure, a meaningful research paper. I'm just sharing the slide with you. Yeah, it is seen.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So, innovative research paper writing skills. Well, I have been, as I said, working for several years, almost 30 years, and I have seen that students are facing initial problem in constructing research paper because they join with some idea, but how to develop even the chapter in research, that is very important. And as I said earlier, that we have to, it is not a scrolling. We have to publish paper before submission. So naturally, the paper will be from your thesis only to, just a minute, it is not a scrolling. So I'm just trying to, give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So see, what are the important points? As today the topic is writing research paper, choosing a journal. The student thinks that writing a research paper is sufficient. No. I teach research methodology and I always say that you keep some journal in your mind before publishing paper into that, because journal has its own, do's and don'ts. That's why choosing the journal, you must go to the author's guideline. So this is very important, choosing a journal. Otherwise, you write a paper, you submit anywhere, your paper will be rejected, and then there will be a kind of depression, frustration. So choosing a journal, always keep in mind the moment you decide the topic, the area of your research, 5, 6 journal. I will also discuss how to get it. Now, why you want to publish your paper in high index journal? See, in good institution, Central University, if you publish your paper in underrated journal, see, that will be negative point. That is why we go to the web science, the website of web science, and we try to find out that which are the predatory journal. Predatory journal means lower standard journal. Well, I believe in quality, not in quantity. So even though you publish one paper, but you try to find out a good journal. So why high index? Because that will enhance your career. Because CV is important. Why do you study? Why do you write dissertation? Why you go for PhD degree? To get a placement. And how to get placement? Why not in a good? Then you have to make your CV like this. So high index journal, reason for publishing in, to justify your paper, to show your paper of very high standard, technical writing. Then writing is also a big task. How to start a paper and what are the technicalities while developing a paper. Understanding the editorial process. See, any journal, good journal, you also look at the editorial board. Who are the editors, co-editors? Well, I mean, the universities they are associated with. That set the standard of the journal, peer-reviewed journal. Because I am in several committees, shortlisting committees, so we generally go that what kind of journal it is. and the standard of the journal. So understanding the editorial process, that they are, blind review, yeah, double blind review, and what are the process. And based on that, you prepare your paper and then submit so that you will be ready to face the consequences, means the result. And dealing with rejection, as I said, that a number of students, frustrated with the rejection. But no, you should not. That is also a step, a kind of, what would I say, uh, um, milestone to learn this kind of rejection. Rejection doesn't mean failure. Sometimes what happens, your paper is not suitable to a particular journal. And that is why the first point is choosing a journal. I will also tell you that how to choose a suitable journal. Up journal, journal for your publication. That I will tell you. So the rejection, even at this point also, sometimes our paper gets rejected. So what? Then try for another. So reason behind that, you go to the author's guideline, the editorial board, some of the papers in the journal. So understanding the editorial process is very, very important. Now, how many journals? As I said, 5, 6 journals. How many journals are out there to publishing does your institute have access to? Now, biannual, 4 times, 3 times. Initially, when you start or when you enroll yourself, in any institution for dissertation, I advise that go for biannual or 3 time also, so that chances are very high to get your paper published. Even one paper, if you could be able to publish, that will give you a kind of confidence that, okay, fine, I have one paper in my hand, and then you can take chance, risk, sending it, journals like, John Hopkins, then number of Duke journals, Sage journals. So how many journals? 4, 5 at least, but you cannot send paper simultaneously to all. You have to wait. That is why I said that if the journal is biannual, means 2 semester, if 3 time, then chances are very high to get or accepted or rejected or get the result very soon, because they consider the paper very quickly and they declare the result also. But if it is once like Duke, John Hopkins, it may take lots of time, and then initially you lose time. So you have to keep in mind that how many journals are publishing. Yes, does your institute have access to? Like in IIT, we have Asia's best library, and the electronic, copies of or access to journals like Springer, Says, Routledge, all. And this is important because if it is subscribed and by the institute, you can access to those, and you can publish your paper there also. So how many journals you need to keep in mind? 4, 5, 6. And their frequency of publishing paper or coming out. The volume, how many volumes? And also whether you can access it or not. Now, finding the right journal in which to publish your article can be a difficult process. Yes, very difficult, because it is not less difficult than writing your paper. Writing paper, developing paper is very, very difficult. But finding the right journal is equally difficult, a very difficult process. Now, what are the criteria to consider? Journal used by yourself, mentor, advisor, colleagues. Research is something which needs advice, public discussion as well. So when you go for journal, any journal, you use, that journal. That is why accessed by your institution, not that is very important, or your teachers, or your seniors, or your colleagues. So try to know about those journals even by your mentors and supervisor, and you feel yourself. Remember, I told you that different paradigms are there, and one of the paradigms is phenomenology, your point of view, first person experience. So if you know the journal, you have already consulted the articles, and your mentors, advisor, colleagues supporting it, this could be one of the criteria. Type of articles published, original research, review, case study, yes. That is why I told you in the initial slide that editorial board, knowing editorial board is very, very important. What type of articles you are going to publish? It is original, review, case study, because see, the case of plagiarism is coming up so frequently. So we are all aware of Turnitin software, so you must check it. And also the article you are going through of a particular journal, you try to find out whether they are original or not. What kind of paper publications are there? Because this decide the impact factor. Right, impact factor that depends on the citation of the article. Then length of manuscript accepted. 1 page, 2 pages. I mean, it is not going to help you. And this is not a research article. The acceptable length for a good journal is about 5,000 to 6,000 words, pages around 12 to 13 pages, both the sides. So length of manuscript, very important, like all the uh, high standard, literary journal, they accept word 5,000 to 6,000. So please don't write in a very summarized, sketchy way, and then supplemental data. What are other data required to support your argument? These are important criteria. Now, another criteria to consider, this was only journal information. So you need to gather journal information. Then reputation of the journal. In which year publication is being held. How many volumes I told you. If it is 43 volumes, 53 volumes, it means that journal has a very good reputation base coming out for many years. If only one, two journal, then this is a very new journal. So which one is the best? The journal which is coming out in 43, 44, 45 volume. Cost and availability. Journal cost effectiveness. See, I always discourage my students and don't publish your paper giving money. But then there are some journals that survive on the money or subscription given by the students. And there is no, harm in this because it's 600, 500, 1,000 they want maybe to sustain themselves. So cost and availability, very important. Then open access. Most of the journal these days have become open access. But then your copyright is there. Open access, anybody can open it. All the reputed journal, they have open access. So you find out that what is the criteria of open access? Peer review status. Peer review. I mean, the editorial board and the review process. Double blind process or peer review. So this is very important, and the reputation of the journal based on this peer review. Always. So always think that how to find out peer review because even in the interview also, I have seen sometime the expert they ask that this is the journal, whether it is peer review or not. Then you have to say, yes, it is peer reviewed journal. So, see, it is also known, I mean, if you make your, what would I say, CV or other thing, refereed journal, a scholarly journal. So publications that rigorously, evaluate submitted article. If you submit the article and immediately somebody say, okay, it is accepted, then what is the reputation of that? But peer-reviewed journal means a scholarly article, and it is through a process where some experts, in the field uh, assess, suppose ecofeminism. So experts from ecofeminism assess the quality and validity of the research before publication, and blind review because no name is there. The reviewer may not aware of the name of the writer or the author. Now, this process helps to maintain, the standard and integrity of the published research. Now, impact factor. I'm going to discuss impact factor in detail because impact factor is very, very important, and you should know what is impact factor. And I must say that reputation of the journal depends on impact factor. So it is a measure, of the frequency with which the average article in that journal has been cited in a particular year. It is calculated by dividing the number of citations. Citation means, suppose I've written a paper and you consulted that article and cited, because documentation is what, anti-plagiarism is what, when you go through any previous work you must mention it, because intertextuality is also very important, and without intertextuality you cannot go for research. So it is calculation or calculated by dividing the number of citation, to article published in the journal during the preceding 2 years by the total number of articles published in the same period. So journal with higher impact factor, well, in humanities, even 2 is very high. But if you go to the science and technical field, you will find 43, 45 also. So journal with higher impact factor, are generally considered most prestigious and influential within their field. Now, again, the reputation of the journal, publisher and editor. Who is the publisher? The publication house. And who are the editors? It entirely depends on that. So before sending your paper into that journal, you try to know the editor, editorial board, and also the publication house. Acceptance rejection rate. As I said, if it is biannual, try 4 times, then you will get the result soon. Journal with lower acceptance rates are generally more prestigious. If only 1 time, as I said, Duke, John Hopkins, may have a lower acceptance rate. Then quality of accepted articles and author. What kind of publication? Who are the author? From which institution? If a journal published Tom, Dick, Harry's paper, well, this is not of use. Audience of journal, like IIT has subscribed a number of journals. So readership is very important. Who is reading? That is why citation is very important. And it is a citation which decides the impact factor or high index. Then audience size, the circulation, whether it is well circulated or not, because it decides indexing and circulation. A Scopus index, high impact factor, HI index, all. So these are very important. Then criteria to consider again, review process. Time to publication, the speed of peer review, pre-pub online. What happened that sometimes students in the initial stage, they send their paper to a very high one-time kind of journal and they kept on waiting. That makes people very frustrated. The speed is low automatically. So try to find out good journal, open access also, or biannual or 3 times. You will get acknowledgement results soon so that you may publish your paper. If it is not suitable to that, you may send your paper to other journal. Well, publication cost is also very important. If you are a student, then high rate you are out of pocket. So too much of amount is also very, fishy about it. So try to avoid this. Now, let us discuss journal impact factor because the reputation of the journal depends on the impact factor. And as I told you, that reflects the average number of citations to recent article published in the journal. And there is, the formula. And what is one measure? Relative importance of the journal within it will. So high impact factor, more important. So A, the number of times article published in 2012 and 2013 were cited by the index journal during 2014. And this is what I said in 2 years. And then B, the total number of citable items published in 2012 and 2010. So A oblique B, in 2014, you will find the impact factor, or you may find impact factor, right? So impact factor is very, very important. Now, how to identify high impact journal in your field? There are sites, journal by rank. Especially here in IIT, we generally go by see the ranking. So there is website Thomson Reuters, and here it is only this, but you can find out that inside journal citation report, that will give you, the ranking, and you can select journal citation report year wise. If you click here, right? Then you will find in 2014 what is there, then selected edition. So you will find the actual position of that journal on this particular site. Now, even journal by rank, if you can go to the categories, you can find out the name of the journal, and then you can get the exact journal you are looking for. And then you have to see the impact factor. On the same, on journal by rank, you can find out, journal impact factor. And you see it is, total citation is 12,258. Suppose nature geoscience. And journal impact factor is 11.740, which is very, very good. As I said, that in humanities, we have only 2, 3, and we are happy. But in science technology, it is very, very high. Now, balancing impact factor, and there are other consideration also. First is A and B, the total citation, and in the 2 year, and that the relative, factor that makes the things out. That is, what would I say? Impact factor, but there are other factors also. What is in factor score, alternative metrics, and other ranking. So first, try to know what is in factor. So this is the score, which is a rating of total importance of scientific journal. Consider the origin of the incoming citation. Who is reading the paper? Who is going through the paper? Who are the audience? Reflects how frequently an average researcher would access content from that journal, means the circulation of the article. The more it is circulated, the more it is valuable. Journals generating higher impact to the field have larger agent factor scores. So journal generating higher field have larger. If the circulation is high, agent factor scores adjust for citation differences scores discipline and calculated based on citations received over a 5-year period. So impact factor we have seen after 2 years, agent factor over 5 years. After 5 years, one can say the citation received that this much of citation. This is called agent factor. There are various ways to know about the impact factor. See, SJR, that is Iskimago Journal Rank. This is also very important to know the rank. Before finding out a journal. So it is weighted by the prestige of the journal, Iskimago, subject, field, quality, reputation of the journal. And SJR, that is Iskimago Journal Rank, normalizes for differences in citation behavior between subject fields. So in factor, it is 5 year, but here you see Iskimago, 4 years of data are needed to calculate Imago journal rank. If a scopus has complete citation data for a journal starting from 1996, the first SJR value available in 1999 means after in the fourth year, after 3 years. Then IPP, the impact per publication metric, which is using a citation window of 3 years. And you have to measure citation in subject field. Then SNP, sources contextual citation impact by weighing citations based on the total number of citation in the subject field and not cites. There are some percentage of documents published in the year that have never been cited. So you see that there are other factors balancing impact factor. You can see that isn't factor is there, alternative metrics are there, other ranking are there, that SGR, IPP is NIP. Now, very pertinent question is that how to match your manuscript while getting the appropriate journal. Now, there is matching tools, manuscript matching tools called JANE, Journal Author Name Estimator. In short, it is called JANE, where you can cite your abstract and you can find the suitable journal for you on the basis of your exploration. Compare your document to documents in Medline to find the best matching journal. Medline, where journals are there in the public med, and very high ranking journal, a scholarly journal, matching journal, authors or articles. I'm going to show you. Then EDNA's journal selector, EndNote EndNote manuscript matcher. So as we talk of five, just a minute. Just we are talking about Jane, EBDAN journal selector is also there. Elsevier journal finder, publisher specific. Springer journal selector, publisher specific. Now see manuscript matching tools. If you have abstract like this, you can put this and you can find from journal all these, related articles. And that will make your work easy. Even the journal also, like environmental health perspective, if your abstract is going to match, so journal author name estimator. Then open access, again this is the practice of providing the public with unrestricted online access, and it is very much in fashion. Most of reputed journal, they are going for open access. And I told you pros and cons are there. What are the pros? That free access. If free access, your copyright is intact, but anybody can approach, anybody can access. So it is circulated in the wider audience and more citation will be there. Author often retain copyright for security. Cons is author's fee, some predatory journal, and there is a BL's list where you can find out predatory journal. Also, you will find this in Web Science. You will find predatory means lower quality journal. Concern about quality control and authenticity. Since open access giving publication in larger number, naturally, the concern about quality control and authenticity is very, very important. Now, publishing research in high impact journal, Different perspective. What are the different perspective? Because you want to publish your paper. I want to publish in a high impact journal because I want my work to be widely read. I want to become famous. I need to get a position like this. So first you try to understand that why do you want to publish your paper, right? Why do you want to publish your paper in this reputed article? Fine, it provides an easy metric to compare researcher. HI index. We want to publish paper that represent important advances. High index, highly cited. So what are the reason behind, like you see, and understanding the logic of high impact journal, you see that this is 42.351. Highly high impact. Now, you have decided that how many journal, what are the criteria to choosing a journal, 5 to 6 journal before writing a paper in advance. Then you consider the reputation. Then you consider the circulation of the paper. Then you consider the editorial process. Then you consider the standard of the journal. Now the question is that you get the journal, you get the article. What are the ways of reading a paper? Suppose if you downloaded, 50 papers, is it possible to read line by line? Then it will take several months and years. Related work and finding more references. And speed reading is going to help you. So how would you read it? If it is interesting, abstract. Abstract, which is of only 250 words. So first you go through the abstract. What is it about? And that will save your time also. Introduction. Why is it important if it is? And then conclusion. Is the approach good? And if you find all suitable for your paper, then read the body. Because scanning type of reading is very important. If paper is not interesting, that is there. That is why 5 keywords are also very important. All the reputed journals, they say 5 keywords. And those 5 keywords determine the very flavor essence of the paper. Now, peak reading. Read the first sentence of every paragraph to get an idea of the paper. Read the whole paper if it is worth. So you can get idea through the word, the keyword, and also the finding out. Now the questions. What is the problem? What is being done? How well does it perform? What are bad aspects of the approach? How could you make it better? I always suggest my students that you please always sit with pencil or pen or paper. So when you read paper, not once, twice, thrice, one time is not going to give you very good, conclusion. And you always write down that what is the problem in that paper and what you want to know about, and how the problem is being explored, evaluated. How does it being evaluated? Well, different aspects of approach. How could you make it better? And then technical writing. That is very important. We all are from humanities and social sciences, so we are very creative literature people. But when you're writing a paper, you need not to show the creativity. This is technical writing, even in humanities. Because even in humanities, we are in interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, cross-disciplinarity. So most characterized by discipline, abide by the word, the characteristics from the humanities. So say as little as possible, as simple as possible, easy words, understandable to as many as possible, because you think that you are writing for the society. And more it will be easily written, easy going, simple words, biblical language, more it will be well circulated. So even in discipline, You try to find out, good synonyms and then antonyms also. And always, I always say, good English is one that is being written in a very simple words, is speaking in a very simple manner. Now, technical writing is about the scientific subject matter, not about the writer. Yeah, what is scientific? Don't think it is about the engineering. Scientific means objectivity. When you write anything, even in humanity, we is not the subject. It is it. You know, the something other that is scientific, objective, a sense of detachment that is always there. Now, what are the requirements of technical writing? Cohesion. When you write thesis, you think that how to write. Sometimes students write all the chapters and then introduction and conclusion. Cohesion means systematic, related, writing. So the presence of keywords that will flow from one sentence to another. Try to match end words with first word. That is why 5 keywords that says the very climate of your writing. Coherence, systematic study. One topic. First sentence emphasizes at the end of the themes of the topic. When you write abstract, the present work is going or the present paper is going to see, and the study proposes that you write this and that. So the first sentence emphasizes, and the end that the study proposes this and that, with 5 keywords. So cohesion and coherence are 2 important words. Relativeness and systematic. More coherence, shared context, problem, solution. Now, what is the context you are going to discuss? Then is the problem? And then how you are giving the solution. And you can I cannot say there is no textbook where I can say that you will start with this. Cause a small surprise, cause reader to feel it knows everything but show not. So historical background, your belief, rationality, and event. Writing can be clear and creating curiosity with all coherence. So context, problem, and then your solution. In research, what is important? Your thinking. Your thinking is very, very important. Right? So without your thinking, nothing will happen. Defining a problem. If shared in context is deceiving, has to have a condition, situation, recurring event. So defining a problem is very, very important to have a cost, intolerable consequences. Suppose in humanities, we are working extensively on healthcare or medical humanities. So what is the problem? Problem is that earlier patients were marginalized. Now narrative is there. They had their voice and the word is autopathography. So what was the condition that I in the previous slide I talked about historical background, situation and recurring event, and then intolerable consequences. What are the types of problem happens in the real world scenario? Because we are moving more into the interdisciplinarity. So real world scenario is more prevalent. What should we do? Conceptual happens in academia, relates to how we think. What should we think? Something we don't know or understand. Dissatisfaction to the unknown. So, what? What? What should we think? Conceptually, everything should be clear to you. In humanities, why do we take help of theoretic theories? Critical theory, this is also one of the paradigms. Critical theories are important because these are the lens to evaluate, to explain the existing problem. The study is intertextual because Every research is, you know, partial fulfillment of doctorate of philosophy. But how you are designing conceptually, putting your point of view, that is phenomenology, is very important. So, what should be the ordering? Chronology. What should be the first? Then finally. So, what should be written in the introduction? Like, even you are developing paper of 5,000, 6,000 word, 12 to 13 pages. So, how to develop introduction and then the body, all important. And how to coordinate one by one. You know, very logical, giving example and generalization. Abbreviation, if you are using certain words, you can make index, you can give what is the full meaning of the word. So, technical writing structure, it should be familiar to the audience. Characters of the story which make an action. Many verbs may exist and the main verb is tied to character. Always write short sentences. Don't write long sentences. First the known, then the unknown. Paragraph meet all requirements of the sentences. Where to change paragraph? You cannot write your point of view, one point of view, one aspect in one page or two page. No. Somewhere you have to break. How to break? You know, in a very cohesive manner according to chronology. So, paragraph is very important. And why do I always emphasize short sentences? Because in long sentences, you may commit grammatical mistake. In autobiography by Jawaharlal Nehru, he has written one sentence in one paragraph, but we are not a scholar like Nehru and Gandhi. So write a small sentences to curtail, neutralize mistake. Then abstract. What is abstract? What is, synopsis? Provides an idea of what the paper is. So it is very condensed, compact. Therefore, you have to, find out each and every line very meaningful related to your entire paper. And then introduction. Motivate the reader to read further. So how to make, reader curious. What is the problem? Why is it a problem? Suppose writing on environment, global warming. Why it is happening? What is the reason behind? And you will write in a manner, in a historical, chronological manner that this has already happened. But now, my opinion says that this may be done. That is your solution. Conclusion is very important. Introduction, body, and conclusion of paper, dissertation. So, this reverse process of introduction. Conclusion is the compact, intact, reverse process of introduction. What was the problem? What is the solution? What now? Avoid future work if you don't want others to work on your future work. But then always remember that every literature is open. There is no closed literature. That is why you always say in your research proposal in paper that you are writing, that you are working on the gap, and the gap is this. And the background is gives credibility your work. You justify your work. You are the best judge. Methodology, yes, theoretical framework. Methodology, there is a difference between methods and methodology. Method is that what type of autobiographical, ethnography, critical review process, that is method of the writing. But methodology is very clear, that is a theoretical framework. Suppose in our humanities and social sciences, mostly it is the close reading, textual analysis. As I am from linguistic background, it is empirical as well. Right. So empirical means that field work. A statistical, exploration. So methodology, theoretical framework is very important. Said that objectivity should be there, a sense of detachment there, not we. Never say this alone, because technical writing is hard. So avoid this, avoid the word to use. Like it is crutch like we to avoid thinking about the main verb. It distorts sentence structure. Avoid unnecessary emphasis. The results are hyperbolism, you can say. The results are very good. No, don't write in this manner. Avoid fancy word, cliche, slang. Words should only add information. Simple word. And you can use synonyms also. Advertising. Always be objective, a sense of detachment. Avoid actual and actually. Does not add information. Avoid seems that, essentially, because it is not your imagination, rather, your research is your concrete finding out. No colloquialism, that's versus which is parenthetical also. So learn about semicolon. Parenthetical is very, very important. What type of semicolon and bracket you are giving when you are citing anything? What is IEEG, right? Then reduce expressions with of, the result of experiment, the experiment results, active versus passive, passive versus active. Verb should be descriptive. Avoid inventing new terms. Learn the customary terminology. So you have to make all these things very, very clear when you start research process. Choose a topic. For topic, you have to read a lot. I would say that if you have primary text in your mind, you read not once, but twice, thrice, 5 times, 6 times. Read the secondary text also, and based on that article, you can coin good topic, because topic is very important. And topic shouldn't be very, very long, maximum 85 characters. What is character? The space you give. Read papers, technical writing, oral presentation, slide preparation. Like in our institution, a number of times they have to give their appraisal annual presentation. How many words you are going to use? What kind of color you are using, the background color? What kind of font you are using? Whether it is readable or not. Text should be concrete. Acknowledge other people's work also. That is documentation. And we all follow MLA 9. Speak loud but do not scream. Talk slower when you give presentation. And make presentation that you are not supposed to read out. You write points in the bold and then you explain. That shows your scholarship, that yes, you know something about it. Just do not be passive reader of the slide. And then you make practice again and again. Building better style, read widely, write a lot, study, revise sentences. Proofreading will help you a lot. Several drafts, even in paper, one first draft, second draft, final draft. And accurate, appropriate words can enhance your writing. Denotation, literary meaning, dictionary definitions. So you must know about the meaning, connotation, emotional association or attitude. noisy versus curious, fearful versus cautious, obstinate versus firm. Use familiar words. I always say that simple English, easy English, biblical English is the best English. These are the familiar words like, reside, leave, simple. Commence, begin, enumerate, list, finalize, finish, utilize, use. Like jargon, consider your audience. What kind, type of, so avoid jargon. Special terms of technical, avoid jargon. Active should be used. Maximum, subject of sentence, does action. Avoid passive, right? Passive verbs is active verbs. So active verbs are better because shorter, clearer, more interesting. Don't use much passive verbs. Replace phrase like make an adjustment, just adjust. Make a decision, decide. Perform an examination, examine. Take into consideration. Eliminate wordiness like wordy. Idea can be said in fewer words. Conciseness, a mark of good writing that contribute clarity. So clarity, preciseness, conciseness, brevity, brevity. These are all, a scholarly thing. Omit unnecessary word, redundancy, repetence of one word, and fix that you can develop a paper within 3 or 4 months and work accordingly. So accordingly, you finalize longer, shorter sentence. If rejection, don't get upset. There is no such thing like a project that will definitely lead to high impact publication. And if you have patience and perseverance, one day you will have the publication good. So with this, I conclude because it is 4 o'clock. I have a meeting at 5 o'clock. Any question?
Participants, if you have any
I have
doubt,
a meeting at
just
5 o'clock.
yes, yes.
Hello, ma'am. I am Anurag Yadav, research scholar at Pondicherry University. I want to know how to identify the Q2, Q3 Scopus journal because many of the journals claim themselves as a Scopus, but Q1 list we have, but I don't know how to find the Q2 and Q3 journal.
See, that is decided uh, on the circulation because sometime Q1 journal at a time Q1 and later on you will find Q2 also. So finding out, as I told you, that various parameters are there, like web science, you can find out. Then Iskimago, even that is very popular in in our what would I say discipline. Then Web of Science, there you can find out which one is Q1 and Q2. Then isn't factor, I just told you that for 3 years. So these are the ways you can find out Q1. But Q1, Q2, Q3, it keeps on switching off. I want to take leave because I have to go
Yes, yes,
to,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm very sorry. If you have any question, my email ID is there. You can find
Yes,
out. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.